guys feast your eyes on this absolutely beautiful 25-year-old Honda. It doesn't look like a 99. It shines like a new bike. Another testimony to the quality of these classic Honda products. This thing is made of the best paint and chrome and metal that they had in Japan at the time, not in Thailand, like some new ones. And it's in absolutely beautiful shape. Just been gone through by our tech shop. I'll get into that in a second. But this bike, the Magna, was in a middleweight muscle bike size. It was a 750, but it performed better than any other cruiser that Honda had out on the market. It had the fastest quarter-mile time and the fastest roll-on speed and the best power-to-weight ratio, even better than their Valkyrie, their 6-cylinder flagship model. So this thing stood heads and shoulders above the other Honda's cruisers of that area, or muscle bikes of that area, because this was more of a muscle bike than a cruiser. So the competition, of course, Yamaha had the VMAX. All the manufacturers had their specialty model. And I was reading some of the tests on this bike this morning from the motorcycle magazines, and one of the editors was saying how he preferred this over even he said don't tell anybody, but he preferred it even better than over the VMAX because of the way it handled the performance. And the engine is very similar to the one they had in their Superbike. So they basically took a Superbike engine out of the 750 Interceptor and put it into this cruiser style chassis. It's a really good formula. High performance motor in a muscle cruiser slash muscle bike. I'd say the proof's in the pudding. The quarter-mile acceleration is 12.76 in the quarter at 102 miles per hour. And that blew away pretty much any big twin from Harley Davidson ever made up to that point, and all the other Honda cruisers that they had in their stable at that point. It was pretty lightweight too, 538 pounds, 17-inch cast alloy wheels with a 128/17 on the front and a much larger 150/80/17 on the rear. These tires were replaced in 2022, a couple of years ago. They got a few, some miles on them, but there's still plenty of life left on them, and they're relatively new. A 12.4-inch and dual piston front caliper. Just a really, really awesome machine. Liquid cooled, 90-degree V4, double overhead cam, 2 intake valves, 2 exhaust valves. The displacement was 748 cc's with a compression ratio of 10.8 to 1. It has 4 34mm key-in carburetors, which we just rebuilt, and of course a 5-speed transmission. 65-inch wheelbase. It's comfortable for most riders, even for day-long rides, because there's not a lot of vibration on it. And this one's been upgraded nicely with this Mustang saddle in the backrest. If you zoom in on the saddle, you'll see this is a really top shelf, huge upgrade over the stock one, and it looks good too. And it's got a backrest, so your wife's going to be super comfortable. The passenger pegs are in a really good spot, and the rider pegs have been upgraded to these floorboard style pegs. The seating position on the Magna is excellent. Most cruisers give you forward controls. These are more like a mid or mid forward. Forward controls would be out here, up here, and mids would be right about here. So it's like a mid forward, and the bars are more of an aggressive style bar than the typical buckhorn cruisers. These have 3-inch risers with a slight pullback to them, and of course it comes with a tachometer, which is another nod to the performance nature of this bike. This is was as far as any car even coming close to catching you from stoplight to stoplight, and most other motorcycles, this thing would blow just about anything off the road. Some of the earlier model Magnas that this one replaced had the funky shaft drive, which would give it like a jacking effect. When you got on the gas, it would lift the bike up. Not a good performance setup. This one's got the chain final drive, and you can see it's just been upgraded with a brand new gold chain. So it's good for another 10,000 plus miles. Absolutely leaps ahead of the other 750 Hondas that Honda had in any of the manufacturers' competition for a 70cc cruiser. Most couldn't compare. This was the only one that had a Superbike engine wrapped in a muscle bike package. So definitely was a formula that worked. Mid 12-second quarter mile isn't proof enough of the muscle bike status. I found this article in Cruiser magazine this morning. It says, "Be afraid, 1500s. This 750 will blow your side panels off." And that's from the August issue of Motorcycle Cruiser magazine when this bike came out in '99. So they say there's no substitute for cubic inches except for engine efficiency. Let this engine breathe, spin it hard and make it efficient, and it's lighter and more performance per cc than some of the 1500s that were out. So it would blow the doors off of most of the 1500 cruisers. Really cool piece, stood the test of time. The look is, you know, the side profile of this bike with all the chrome is still looks good many years later. And some of the middleweight cruisers have a funky, I want to look like a Harley look. This doesn't say that. This has a style all its own. The way the frame rails are almost a perimeter frame. They come out around the front cylinder, how that's tucked between, and of course it's liquid cooled, so you got the radiator up front. But the fit and finish on the bike at 25 years old is outstanding. It was rated for 87 horsepower at 9,000 RPM, so plenty of power and for a 500-pound motorcycle, and the looks to go along with it. Speaking of looks, this was one of the few cute cruisers that had dual pipes on both sides. So if you look at it from the back here, from right here, you'll see there's 4 exhaust pipes coming out, and they have an aggressive design to them. Those are the original Honda exhausts. So as nice as this bike is, we did do quite a bit of work to it. Let me pull the work order out, and I'll go over that right now with you. The first thing we did was we pulled the fuel tank off and steam cleaned, hand washed, and totally cleaned the whole bike, what we call a rotisserie detail, from the bottom of the engine to the top. So when the tank was off, we drained the fuel and filled it with cleaned the tank, rinsed it, and put VP94 ethanol-free fuel in it. We pulled the air box off it and installed a brand new K&N air filter, a filter charger air filter. Then we pulled the carbs, split the rack, replaced the fuel inlet O-rings, completely cleaned, dismantled, cleaned, reassembled, and rebuilt the carburetors. Then we synchronized the carbs, set the fuel screws to 3.5 turns out, and then reinstalled them in the bike. So we filled, charged, and installed a new Yuasa battery with a battery tender lead hanging off underneath the cover, so you can plug it in and charge it without removing anything from the motorcycle, just plug it into the wall. Changed the oil with a Spectro 1040, the new oil filter. Cleaned the rear sprockets in front, cleaned the rear sprocket, and installed a new 530 drive chain, gold. Went through the whole bike, and also installed a new turn signal mount in the rear. One of the turn signal mounts was defective, but just you know, overall, looking at the bike, the tires were done 2 years ago. All of the entire fuel system's been gone through. All the fluids are new in it. Everything works. All the lights, a horn, and it runs impeccably. The chrome still looks great. One of the things I haven't told you is what the detail shop did. We had Leo, who's been with us for a couple of years now, did this one. And our mechanic down in the detail shop removed the front wheel, still got a little wax on it, removed the front wheel from the motorcycle, and he completely polished the forks from top to bottom. He sanded it down, 320, 600, 800 grit, and then 3 different types of rouge on a buffer, and buffed these. That's not chrome, that's a polished aluminum lowers. If you look at any Magna from this era, the clear coating will have faded or be peeling, so this is a great way to restore the forks. And the same thing was done to the wheels. The wheels were sanded and polished, both sides, and you can see the inside of the brake rotor right here. The brake rotor was actually painted on the inside here, the silver color, so the whole front end was restored like brand new. All the chrome was polished on the entire motorcycle. All the aluminum was polished. The tank's in beautiful condition. There's no dents. I don't see any dings or damage anywhere on the fuel tank. The tank's beautiful. It's the original paint. It's not been repainted, just another testimony to the condition of the bike. This was buffed and polished and waxed, as was all the chrome on the side of the motor was clean and polished. The silver on the cylinders was repainted. The pipes were polished. The rear wheel was removed from the motorcycle by our mechanic down at the detail shop, and Leo painted the swing arm, the inside of the swing arm, polished the rear rim, 320, 600, 800 grit, and polished the brake housing on this side, polished and waxed all of the painted surfaces, all the chrome, and cleaned the saddle. Around this side here, of course, the shocks were cleaned also. Same thing was done on this side. The wheel was, when the wheel was off, it was sanded and polished, and the swing arm was repainted and cleaned thoroughly underneath there. So this side of the bike, more beautiful chrome. These side covers are brand new. The 2 side covers are brand new. We purchased these and installed those. It was actually missing a side cover. So that was done. As far as the parts list goes, you got the turn signals, the battery tender, the side cover set, the VP ethanol-free fuel, the oil, the supplies, the chain, the battery, oil filter, air filter, and 4 NGK spark plugs. The parts came out to $480. and the labor was 30 hours, a total of 20 in the detail shop. It took Leo, he works 10-hour shift, 4 days a week. He did 2 days on this bike, bringing it to its showroom condition right here and polishing all the aluminum. Aluminum polishing is very time consuming to do it right. Removing the clear coat and polishing it was done beautifully by him. And in the service department at 10 hours, so it was 30 hours of labor plus parts at $150 an hour. The work order to restore this bike came out to $4,980. And it also has the Mustang saddle and the backrest, which is about a $500 upgrade, $350 and $150 for the two. So we're not going to give the bike away, but it'll be priced reasonably. But you're getting a phenomenal value, a bike that's been a 25-year-old Honda that's been massaged back to showroom condition, mechanically, electrically, and cosmetically. So it's a Honda, guys. Typical, traditional, vintage Honda quality. The other thing too is when you register this bike, you can put vintage plates on this thing, and your registration and taxes and insurance will be peanuts compared to a new bike. Peanuts. And this is going up in value, whereas a new bike is, you buy a new $10,000 bike, if you can find a good 70 for 10 grand, brand new, as soon as you roll it off the lot, you lose $2,000, and 3 years later, it's worth 6 grand. So this is fully depreciated. This is an appreciating asset. It's an investment quality Honda that has a really cool history. If you go online and Google 99 Honda Magna, read all the tests on it, this was the bike to have. Still is. Some things never change. Thanks for watching. God bless Honda. God bless America.
God bless America, y'all know the deal.